Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Halloween horror review update. Well, kind of a Halloween horror update. Actually, there's not a lot of horror in it, but it's an update. And it's video games. It's a video game update during the Halloween season. There may be some stuff in it that's kind of scary, but not really strictly horror, but definitely some horrific qualities to it. Let's just get right to it, shall we? PS3 video game update, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, let's get right to it, shall we? First up, now this is scary. Yeah, now it's the 30th anniversary of this particular franchise, so basically I had no choice whatsoever. It wasn't up to me. It's just the cosmos dictating what I must do. And what I must do is get this game and play it live on Twitch, so we can all experience the horror and the heartache together with Transformers the game. Yes, this is the video game based on the first of the Bayformers films. Grabbed it out of the bargain bin. I refuse to pay too much for these. I'll pay, maybe up to $10, but anything more than that, and no. So, yeah, I wanted to get this. I've seen some clips of it before, and it is, like, laughably horrible. So, this should be a lot of fun to play on Twitch. And apparently it's not that long, so the pain will be short-lived. But, yeah, I need to do the good with the bad. So, in addition to that on Twitch, I do plan to play War for Cybertron and The Fall of Cybertron. So, once we, singe our eyeballs with this and just revel in the badness and collectively groan, we'll go on and play some good Transformers games. But I just had to get my hands on this and experience the badness firsthand, because sometimes it's fun to play a horrible game and just revel in the horribleness and have a good laugh about it. And that's basically what we'll be doing with this one. So this will be part of the 30th anniversary Transformers celebration at some point. Much like Halloween going into overtime, I suspect the Transformers celebrations will also be going into overtime, simply because there's just so much fucking Transformers stuff out there. It's impossible to cram it all into a year while also celebrating a gajillion other anniversaries at the same time. So far, I think we've done okay with the anniversary stuff, but, Transformers is just far, far more massive than a simple year can contain. I mean, unless you dedicate your entire year to nothing but Transformers, obviously. But as you know by now, my interests are wide and multifaceted, so it's impossible for me to just spend a year entirely on one thing. I tried to do it last year with Doctor Who, and that failed dismally. I did a bunch of Doctor Who stuff, sure, much to the chagrin of people who don't give a shit about Doctor Who, but I did a lot of other stuff as well. Yeah, anyway, Transformers the game. Next up, now this is truly scary stuff here, folks. This, the real fear here for fans of this particular franchise was the fear that this game would never be completed, that it would never come out, that it would never be done and released. They waited something like 15 years for this particular sequel to come out. It finally arrived, and it looked like it had gone through 15 years worth of generations of game technology, and was, generally considered a little disjointed and such, but whatever. I paid $5 for it. I'm not going to worry about it too much. We have Duke Nukem Forever, yeah, which, is rated M, so it at least has some blood and gore, and intense violence in it. So there you go. It also has mature humor, nudity, strong language, strong sexual content, and use of drugs and alcohol. So there you go. Everything an R-rated movie should have, and most horror movies are rated R. So we'll call this horror. Yeah, no. The horror of a sequel that took far too long to come to market and then disappointed everybody, hence why it's in the $5 bin now. But I do love Duke. Everybody loves Duke. Just a great character, one of the classic characters of the 90s who has endured to this day. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'll likely play it on Twitch at some point. I'm not sure when exactly. Basically just when I feel like killing stuff and listening to some funny wisecracks, I guess. Alrighty, so next up we have... Now this one I actually played the demo of the second one. There's 3 in this particular series currently. And I realize my fly is undone. Just give me 1 second here. There we go. Sorry, I don't have a license to sell hot dogs. So, alrighty, so we have Lost Planet, Extreme Condition. Now, as I say, I played the demo of the second one, and I actually really enjoyed it. I liked the, the snowy landscape and the fact that you're fighting, basically fighting the indigenous wildlife of the planet rather than, aliens bent on conquest or whatever. You're essentially the invaders in this. You're going to this planet and trying to, take it over. And, yeah, so anyway... looked like a lot of fun, so I thought I'd check out the first one. Picked it up on the cheap. I don't remember specifically how much I got it for, but it wasn't much. It was like less than $10. I think it was like $7 if I remember correctly. But yeah, so I'm going to check this out, and if I like it, I'll pick up the other 2 because they're also going pretty cheap now. So very good. Basically, first-person sci-fi action, or very tense, very action-intensive. Alrighty, now here's some proper horror. I actually did do a playthrough of the first one in this series last year on Twitch. Sadly, that playthrough is not presently online because Twitch deleted all our videos. But might repost it at some point, might just do a fresh playthrough of it at some point. I don't know, because this is one that I enjoy playing over and over and over again. I kind of gave the game away on this one in my recent package opening with the one I got from Stoudman. Picked up the Ultimate Rapture Edition of Bioshock 1 and 2. So this contains the full games of Bioshocks 1 and 2 and all the DLC on disc right there. How handy is that? So we got absolutely everything ever for both games collected together in one definitive collection. So this wasn't a cheap one. This was like, I forget how much it was, like $25-30. But it's well worth it for the simple fact that you get all the DLC. I mean, the DLC alone is like $40 worth of content. So getting both games and all the DLC for like $30, that's a good deal. Like, come on, that's awesome. So I actually do have the standalones of the first 2 games as well. And of course, got the first one ages ago, and then Stoudman actually sent me the second one. And when I showed him this, he was like, "Oh, I just sent you the second one." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, man." But he said, "Well, no big deal. It only cost me $5 anyway." So, yeah, the individual games actually go really cheap now. But then, of course, you have to buy the DLC. So this one, you get everything together. Only ever saw this on the shelf once, and that was the day that I grabbed it. I've been looking for it for a while. I especially wanted to get it because I just finished reading the novel, Bioshock Rapture. So I'm actually really keen to jump back into the world of Rapture and check it out. Now, before anybody asks, no, I do not have Bioshock Infinite yet because I knew this was going to come eventually, which is why I kind of held off on it, plus the fact that I hadn't played the second one yet. Bioshock Infinite is actually getting an Ultimate Edition as well in November, apparently, so imminently. So that's the version I'm going to get. And much like this, the Bioshock Infinite Ultimate Edition, or I think it's called the Complete Edition, will contain all of the DLC and extra stuff. So that's the one that I'll be getting. So don't worry, I will get Bioshock Infinite eventually. I know it's awesome. I can't wait to play it. But I'll be getting the Complete Edition just to have everything included. And finally, last but most definitely not least, this was absolutely not in the budget. the week that I went to EB Games and picked these ones up. But saw it on the shelf, and again, this is one I've been looking for a while. Saw it on the shelf, could not resist picking it up. This was just a no-brainer to have everything together in one handy-dandy collection. How could I resist? We have the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection. Yes. Now, just to differentiate this, there was a Metal Gear Solid HD collection that came out a year or two prior to this. Now, the Metal Gear Solid HD collection only contains the second and third games. Basically has Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, the Substance Edition, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the Subsistence Edition, both upgraded to HD. This includes everything from that release, plus a whole lot more. When they say this is the Legacy Collection, they aren't messing around, man. You have the original Metal Gear. Yes, the old 8-bit console game. The original Metal Gear. Then you've got Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake. The real Metal Gear 2, not the one that we got here in North America. That one is not included on this set. It is not considered canon to the series. So we got the real Metal Gear 2. You got Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid the VR missions. Now, I should mention something. Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid VR missions are the only ones that are not included on the disc. For whatever reason, they did not include them on the disc. They just give you a voucher, like a code, to download the PSN version. I mean, it's still the original PS1 game, just in PSN form. So you can play it on the PS3 quite easily. I've had my eye on those for a while. I have played Metal Gear Solid, the original, several times. I just love the story in that. It's just a great, great game. Sadly, no Twin Snakes version, the GameCube upgraded version. One issue I know people had with that particular version was it had a different voice cast than the original. And come on, you got to have David Hayter as Snake, and Cam Clark as Liquid Snake, and everybody. Got all the originals in there. But anyway, so this is the original PS1 version, and then of course you got the HD upgraded versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, and you've got Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, and you also have an HD upgraded version of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which I believe was a PSP game. So you got all of that. So everything essentially up to and including Metal Gear Solid 4. The entire saga up to that point. So it doesn't have Revengeance or Metal Gear Solid 5. You have to get those separately. So I will pick those up at some point. I know Revengeance goes pretty... What an awkward word. Revengeance. It's like, I'm having vengeance upon you again. Revengeance, if you will. It's like a combination of revenge and vengeance. It's revengeance. I don't know, it's just weird. But anyway, I'll pick that up, which is basically the further adventures of Raiden, apparently, and then Metal Gear Solid 5, which I believe has Solid Snake in it again. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. I don't really know much about those two. I haven't been paying much attention to the saga since the fourth one, but I will get caught up eventually. Would definitely like to do an epic Twitch playthrough of the whole frickin' Metal Gear Solid saga, which I think would be fantastic, especially for those of you out there who've never experienced the story. It's really an epic storyline and great stuff, and it plays out just like the greatest of action movies. It's just fantastic. Really, really good stuff. So I was really stoked to find this. Talking to the guy at EB Games, apparently he said that it had just been put on the shelf the day before. Somebody brought it in for trade-in. Luckily the voucher still worked, thank God. But he says he brought it in for trade-in, and he said as soon as he brought it in, he was like, this isn't going to last. It's not going to stay on the shelf for very long. And sure enough, in I walked the next day and snapped it up as soon as I saw it. Yeah, this one's getting kind of hard to find, too. If you're wondering what I paid for it, was $40, which is actually a pretty good price for that. It's about what it retails for, a little less than what it generally retails for. But it's getting harder to find, so if you want to grab it now while you can. Amazon links in the description, as always. Good luck. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Haven't really picked up any new PSN stuff lately because, as you know, I kind of went PSN crazy and have stayed away from that for the next little while. I basically wanted to put most of my funds into getting new horror Blu-rays and whatnot for the Halloween season. So this was just kind of a spontaneous splurge. I was mainly looking for this. This was, I totally did not expect to find this. And these three I basically just grabbed out of the bargain bin because they were there. And they were ones that I wanted to pick up anyway. So, yeah, good stuff. Some good old gaming action. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So, back to the regular Halloween shenanigans. And, yeah, so until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.